Well, thank you, David, for the last class here, round three. By the way, we have some students who've come back from earlier classes. They want to hear from you again. So,
All right.
very interested in what you have to say. So let me just do a quick intro here. So we do have David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, who's going to be presenting to us. So make sure you have your elements out so you can have it clear. So the way we've been working it is that he does a brief intro. I asked him some of the questions that you wrote down. Okay, it was and then we open it up for people raising hands and stuff like that. But that's how we'll do it. Time will go by quickly because we have a lot to do, a lot to cover. Again, thank you, Dave, for speaking with us. Let's everybody. There you go. You are on. Everybody say hi. There you go.
All right.
All right. Dave, thank you for again taking time out of your schedule to speak with us. We appreciate that. So why don't we just turn it over to you? And I guess the pressing question is why are people not being told the truth about the flat Earth, and why there's convincing evidence for it?
Well, that's a big question.
Yeah, probably too big. You just pick one of those questions.
Yeah. Well, if we live on a globe, there would have to be certain physical things. There would have to be a physical horizon. The curvature of the globe at the size that they tell us is 8 inches per mile squared. So at 3 miles, there's a 6-foot drop. That means a 6-foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water should not be able to see the surface of that water beyond 3 miles because it drops behind a physical curve, but we can see too far. We can see things that should not be there at all. They should be hidden behind miles and miles of curvature. For example, where's my, well, let's start with this. So here is, let me go back here. So here is a shot from Aluja, France, looking out over out towards Mount Canigou, which is 175 miles away. The amount of curvature that would be present if the Earth is a globe, the top of the mountain should be over 1/2 a mile below a physical curve. Well, guess what? You can't see it, but twice a year, the sun migrates in between the tropics. Twice a year, the sun will line up, and when it lines up with Mount Canigou, it will backlight it, and all of a sudden we can see all of Mount Canigou right here. So this is Mount Canigou. It's above the horizon. The reason you can't see it is because the light that bounced off of it isn't strong enough to push 175 miles through the atmosphere, but the sunlight is bright enough to push that far, and it backlights it. So the only answer that the globe has for that is that this is refraction. The sun already set, and the mountains the mountain is below the horizon, which is nonsense because it's there. It's not a mirage. Here's a view from. We're up high where the air is nice and clear, and we could see these mountains, right? Over 700 miles away. These 7 mountains. The amount of curvature based on that altitude, because you have to use, you have to subtract your altitude from the curvature, would put them over 40 miles below the horizon. 40 miles, but they're here. And mainstream, you know what they say about this? Mainstream science? They won't touch it. They won't acknowledge this picture because they say it's impossible. Therefore, they won't address it. That's not science. That's scientism. And then why the lie? Why aren't you being taught about it? Because if you knew who you were, if you knew where you were, if you knew there was more, then you wouldn't be controllable. You wouldn't be controllable, right? They're hiding free energy. They're hiding the creator. They're hiding spirituality. They're hiding more land. They're hiding more resources, scientific knowledge. They're hiding possibly other civilizations. And we have tons of evidence showing that there probably are more lands with more people on them. That answer it? Am I good?
Yeah, thank you. Just to follow up, you mentioned other civilizations and other lands. How would that be possible?
Okay, very good. So So first, the one thing you got to know that we don't even know what's in our own pond. When I say pond, our world, all the oceans are a pond. Antarctica is the shoreline that surrounds our pond. And Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. So it contains our waters. So Antarctica is not on the bottom of a ball. What is beyond Antarctica? This is Antarctica, the shoreline of our world. It contains our waters. So what's out there? And again, anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica or even 60 degrees south, which is long before that, is speculation. But let's speculate a little bit and let's look at some evidence. Here's a ship tracking website, and you can see all cargo ships. You can go there. You can look at this. And it'll tell you, click on them, it'll tell you all about them. We looked at one, a fishing boat, 730 miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica. How can that be? And if it's 700, let's say there was a river, right? Well, they tell us the elevation of Antarctica there is 1.9 miles high. So imagine being in a river with the walls almost 2 miles above you. I don't think that exists. Then we found another one 905 miles in. That's almost at the center of what they tell us Antarctica is. No one's allowed to explore here. How do boats get here? Right? So here's the question. What if the world was like this? So here's a map that was found in a Buddhist temple showing us this is where we live. This is what they tell us Antarctica is. And what if the shoreline of our world was out here, out farther? And Antarctica was just a series of frozen areas. Maybe there's some passages through. And so here are other lands. So let's just go a little farther. This is a good question. This is a video showing you the shoreline of Antarctica. This is the shoreline of Antarctica, right? This might be one of the passages through Antarctica. I gotta look into where this one came from. So real quick. So we clicked on one of those ships and it only told us the size of the ship. It was 580 meters long, 80 meters wide, which is a gigantic ship. And it said it was registered in the nation of Kiribati. I'm showing you the Southern Ocean here, the Indian Ocean, and you can't even see Kiribati. I put a pin on it. There it is. So you can see it. It's a tiny little sandbar. China gave them $10 billion just last year, I think. And America has given them an equal amount of money, saying that they're a very, very important trade route. A trade route. That's fascinating. Like, why do we need to stop at that little sandbar in the middle of nowhere? Okay. There's a whole bunch of stuff about Kiribati. I'm going to skip over for lack of time, but looking at time zones. So if we're on a globe, time zones are a line from the North Pole to the South Pole, 24 of them, sectioning the Earth off like an orange, like sections of an orange, and you have your timelines. But the problem is, what's up with this weird timeline here? Let's zoom in on it. It's a very strange timeline. And when we look at it, this is where the date line is. It goes all the way over and they say, well, it's political, this, that. Out in the middle of the ocean. Why is this going across 3.5 time zones? And look, it's right here in the weirdest, most suspicious spot is Kiribati. What does this prove? I don't know what it proves. It proves that it's in a weird spot. So what if the world was set up like this? Remember, they cut this out and wrapped it around and squeezed it down and said Antarctica is down here. What if this was a trade route? What if there was a ship going from Kiribati out here? What if they were trading computer chips or weapons or food, tuna fish, or human trafficking? We don't know, but we want the right to know. And here's the thing. You've never heard of Kiribati until this message. There's a whole bunch of other very strange stuff about Kiribati, really weird stuff. But if this was going on, you would never know about it. So that's how there could be more lands.
Okay, thank you. So Dave, I'm going to read a couple of questions here. The question was, how can different stars be seen from different places on the Earth?
Yeah, it's a good one. So in the north, we can all see the North Star, and that's because we're near it. So imagine if we're in a room together, 10-foot high ceilings, and all the lights are random. They're all in different patterns, and we look up and go, look, there's a bull, and there's a starfish, and there's a snake. right? And we're making patterns in the sky and on the roof, 10-foot high ceiling. So now let's expand that room to the size of a city. Let's make it 10 miles wide. Okay. So it's 10 miles wide. And you go for a walk. I say, all right, go for a walk. And you go 5 miles, about 5 miles away. I can't see you for a couple of reasons. One, the floor and the ceiling have merged literally at a tenth of a mile. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this floor and the ceiling. I can't see you. I yell. You can't hear me because my voice spreads out. You can't hear me. So I call you on your cell phone. You answer. And I say, hey, look up. Do you see that snake, that bull, that starfish? You're like, no, I see different stars. Well, does that mean that that room is spherical, or does that just mean that you're too far away to see the same lights in the sky? The lights that we see in the sky, I think, are very close. They're within the Earth system, and there's tons and tons and tons of evidence to show you that.
So are you suggesting then that there's a finite number of stars that are above the Earth, and then people can then see them from different perspectives?
Well, you think about it, in the heliocentric model, we're whirling and twirling and, flying through this crazy spiral universe, like this. Not only are we going around the sun, we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour, traveling 4.4 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. But somehow there's no parallax. Parallax is when you change your position, things change their orientation. But never in history have two stars ever crossed each other's path, right? Never in history have they crossed each other's path. And the bigger question to ask is, how can you see the same stars on different seasons? So let me just pull something up real quick. Seasons, where's some seasons? There it is. So, where is it? Oh, maybe that's it. Day and night. Sorry. So on a globe, right? You got the sun, and we're on one side of the sun, tilted towards it. That's our summer. That's what they tell us. And then 6 months later, we're 186,000 miles on the other side of the sun. On the other side of the sun. That is, here we go. Where's my thing? Give me a second here. Where are my stars? They literally disappeared. So when we're on one side of the sun, right? I gotta find. Hold on, I gotta find this graphic. It's so easy. In the moon. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Last try. Let me try this instead. If I go over here, let me just find it here. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just a little backwards here. All right, here we go. So let me make it bigger so you can see it. So over here, over on the right side, you got a guy. It's nighttime. He's looking at those stars off to the right, and that's when the sun is on that side of the sun. 6 months later, nighttime is in the opposite direction, with the sun in the middle. You should never see a single same star, but we see many of the same stars all year long. And that would be impossible on a heliocentric universe, or heliocentric world. We're on the other side. Face the front of your classroom and tell me what's on the back wall behind you. You can't do it. So when you really look into how we see the same stars, it proves that the Earth is not a heliocentric ball. All right.
Let me ask a couple of questions here. How is the Earth hotter the deeper we go beneath its surface? Oh, David, you're muted.
That's a great question. I don't actually have any proof that that is the case. Now, we're told volcanoes are sending lava up from the center of the Earth, when the truth is lava comes from what's called lava tubes, which are going parallel with the surface of the Earth. There's electrical currents going through the Earth, and I believe that's what creates the lava. The deepest hole ever dug is just under 8 miles, and there's an impenetrable barrier. So how does the lava get through that barrier? We can't even drill through it, or blow it up. We can't do anything. So the whole thing about volcanoes taking magma from the center of the earth is just a meme. It's just a lie. And we don't know what's below 8 miles on a flat earth or a globe earth.
The question is, if we're flying a plane, if the earth is flat, if we were flying, could we just continue to fly away from the earth and then go into outer space? The idea being, if the earth is round, you can basically fly and circle the earth. But if the earth is flat, is it a way where you just literally just fly in outer space?
So if the earth was a globe and you were flying straight, you should fly off into space. If a plane doesn't, at cruising altitude, at cruising speed, if it doesn't nose down, it'll be 80 miles higher in 1 hour. Okay. Because it's going to fly right off of the globe. So here's an animation of an airplane flying, and you're flying over the globe. So the stars in the background will be rising up because, the stars in front of you, as you dive over, they're now above you, right? That makes sense. So this is what common sense would tell us if we live on a globe. This is what we should see. If you flew straight, you'd fly off into space, but no plane adjusts. So now let's look at what reality shows us. So in reality, this is a flight from Beirut to Brazil, I believe, going halfway over the ball. Now these stars aren't rising. This is super sped up. These stars are not rising. They're not rising. Now, Google Earth says this is what it should look like. This is an animation. This is what your common sense tells you. This is what Google Earth tells you. Because you're diving over the ball, the stars have to rise. But then when we film it in reality, that we get this. This is what we get: non-rising stars. Now, the anti-flat Earth people out there that are paid to deceive, they say, well, that's because you're going with the spin of the Earth and it's negating it. Well, then flying in the other direction, the stars should whiz upwards twice as fast because you're going in the opposite direction. It's like driving on a road with a car right next to you going the same speed, and they're like, okay, it negates it, but when you drive the other way, you go right by it. But in both directions, the same thing happens. The stars do not rise. We have American Airlines pilots and other big airline pilots filming this stuff for us and viewing it. But it's very difficult for them. They're not allowed to use personal electronics in the cockpit. And they make it very difficult to extrude this evidence. But this right here, this video alone, 100% proves that we're not flying over a ball. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane.
Next question is, if the Earth is flat, how is it formed, and maybe when was it formed?
That's a great question. So what it proves is this. Again, falsification is independent of replacement. So, if you prove something false, it doesn't mean you have to prove it doesn't mean you have to know what the other answer is. So what flat Earth tells you is that we didn't come from a big bang. We're not on a ball floating through a scientifically impossible space vacuum with high pressure air, with no container, which is impossible, with magic gravity holding it down, which they don't even know what gravity is. None of that works. So all I can tell you is that the Earth is intelligently designed. That's it. I don't know how long ago. I don't think it was nearly the amount of time that they're telling us. I think the Earth is quite young, and I think that they're lying about everything. When you learn about dinosaurs, the first guy ever to speculate on dinosaurs was a royal guy in the 1800s, right? Since before then, nobody had ever mentioned finding a dinosaur, from the pyramids to current times. This guy speculates it, and a year later, to the same day as he published that paper, he and his team discovered the first dinosaur. When you look into the dinosaur hoax, everything starts to unravel.
Sorry about that. So, so if you believe that the Earth is flat, but instead we're being told it's round, what is the benefit that comes from having a round Earth? How does folks in power, how do they benefit from that?
So the benefit is if you don't know who you are, where you are, if you don't know that you have God-given free will, free rights, that you are the inheritors of this realm that we live in, then you give them up. The controllers aren't allowed to take your free will, but they can convince you that you can give it away. They can convince you of a lot of things. And so this is all about control. It's about controlling your mind. And if you believe, hey, if you watch the Truman Show, Truman goes, I want to be an explorer. And the teacher pulls down the map and goes, oh, everything's been explored already. There's no more. Well, what if you knew that there's more? What if you knew that they're hiding free energy? What if you had a device the size of a roll of quarters that could heat your house and power your car and air condition your house for your whole life, right? Would that change anything? Would that change? Because you're going to work your whole life to pay for electricity and fuel. All right. That's what you're going to work your whole life for. What if that stuff was free? They had cars in the 1800s that pulled electricity out of the air and ran on that electricity. It's not a theory. There's actually videos of these cars, right? But all of this is being hidden from you. So free energy, more land. Japan found 7,000 new islands in our pond last year, 2023. What if there was more lands? Maybe you'd want to go there. There's some great books. One of them is called The Iron Republic, about somebody that went through Antarctica, excuse me, and found a civilization that had moved out there in the 1600s because they didn't like the tyranny that was going on in here, right? So they picked up and moved outside. So we're in a prison. This is a prison for your mind. And once you understand, that there could be more, that you are important, that you are powerful, that your mind is way more than they tell you, that's how it's all about control.
I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to open it up for you guys to ask questions. And that is, you mentioned about free energy. And I think in earlier classes, you mentioned about electrostatic power and its relationship to gravity. Could you elaborate on that?
You want me to mention the stuff I mentioned in another class?
Yeah, just you mentioned earlier your questions about gravity, and I think you mentioned about the importance of electrostatic energy.
Yeah, so this is what you have to believe. Down is down in all these different directions, when in fact down is the same down for everybody. Every plumb bob that builders use, they all point in the same direction. Never in any surveying anywhere, do they ever account for curvature. They say that you can use a flat level plane as your base reference for anything up to 100 miles. At 100 miles, there'd be 6,600 feet of curvature. So that really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So if you look at the electrostatic model, so the way our flat Earth works is the sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode of a giant battery system. And the salt water carries the current. Salt water has tides, and salt water carries a current. And the land is the salt bridge. That creates a battery. So if you look at electrostatics, we have some balloons, helium balloons left over, and we got a button, and it's just floating off the floor. Now this wire goes to a Van der Graaf generator, and we're going to add a positive charge. Now the ground is a negative charge. So as we increase the positive charge of this, it gets down. Now, do we make it heavier, or do we just make it have a stronger attraction to the Earth? Right? A higher positive charge has a stronger reaction. It goes out when we undo it. Here is a piece of tinfoil. We add a negative charge to it. If we put the negative charge in it and keep it in it, it stays up because it's repelling away. Now, are we defying gravity, or are we defying electrostatics? Right. And again, here is something a little bit bigger. This is called the silent drone. MIT just developed this. No moving parts, no sound. They say it uses ionic wind. Basically, all they're doing is keeping this thing negatively charged, because anything in the air gets a positive charge to it. Right. If any of you have a drone, get a long, thin copper wire, tie it to the drone, and put it up in the air. When it's not touching the ground anymore, don't touch that wire. It's filled with electricity. Okay. And you can test this yourself. Feel free. Get a zap. But this is electricity that's in the air. Tesla had free energy at the World's Fairs I think in the early 1900s, and they shut him down and made that go away because you can't bill for free energy that's being pulled out of the earth and transmitted wirelessly. So again, it's about control. The controllers of this world are using what we call old world technology to control us. So there you go.
Thank you. All right, well, let me open up for questions from you guys. So let's start us off here. Julius, why don't you begin?
What is your opinion on the pictures of the Earth from space and the fact that like we've been to the moon? Do you believe that we have?
I went over some moon landing stuff before. Again, on my app, there's a whole moon landing nonsense section. I highly recommend you guys watch that. But let's look at this. This is a 2012 picture of Earth, and I sectioned out what land is being shown on it. So you have to believe that all of this and all of this and all of this and all of this is on the other side of that ball. Does that make any sense to you? Does that make any sense? Right? Here's something that we can measure. We can drive across Mexico and Baja and determine this is 934 miles. NASA tells us that the diameter of the Earth, is 7,917. So I should be able to fit 8.5 of these segments in between these two lines. 8.5 goes right off the page. All right. So this is provably a painting. And just remember that one where I showed you the other side of the Earth. Let's look at the other side of the Earth. Here's another picture from NASA. Other side of the Earth. Before we had this. So now you have to believe that all of this is on the other side of the Earth. Again, another painting. When you look at actual images of Earth, and they will never, NASA, go look up NASA. They never use the word photograph, image, and picture, because it's not a photograph. So here's the blue marble that was on everyone's iPhone, and we take this section here. We look. Here are the clouds. They're duplicated. They're cut and paste. Whoever's doing this is either lazy, stupid, or is doing it on purpose to let us see. And again, the guy who made the blue marble for NASA said that he made it in Photoshop. He admitted it, but people don't really care. And when you look at like pictures from, oh, look at this, right? This is Lake Tahoe. Where's the curvature? This is the photograph. This is from NASA. This is a fisheye lens from a high altitude craft going up. And here is, let me show you something else. Again, when they show us these different pictures, none of it makes sense. Look at the size of the United States. Is that the size compared to the globe? Where are the rest of the lands? How come the United States is small here and bigger here? Right? This one is tilted back. So I hold my hand here. If I tilt it back, it gets smaller. It doesn't get bigger. It gets smaller. So why is it bigger? Why is it bigger? These balls are the same size. Again, they're paintings, 100% provably so. Right? And then people say, what about the photograph of the Earth from the moon? Right? So this is the famous Earthrise. You don't think you can fake that? NASA gets $80 million a day. Okay. Right. I just created a double Earthrise. I did this and I have zero Photoshop skills. Right. And I even made it so I'm on the moon. Look, that's me right there. So if you don't think that they can fake stuff, you're just not thinking. All right. Next.
Okay. Kayla, you had your hand up.
Isn't that just the star thing you were talking about? We're closer to it in that point, so you would see that country more. And everything else, like you just said, is farther from you, so it gets smaller.
Well, you're looking at half the globe. When you're that far away and you can see the curvature all the way around, you're looking at half the globe, and that means the other you're seeing half of it. Where's the rest?
Bending behind, it gets smaller, and then you can't see it.
Well, you're looking at a globe. You're not looking at things going into the distance. You're looking at half of the globe, and so all of that land has to be on the other side of the globe.
Exactly, but it looks that big because you're that close to it. Just like the stars I can see right here, like you said, I can't see over there.
Yeah,
5 miles away.
but I'm showing you those balls are the same size. So if I was closer, the ball would be bigger. If I was closer, the ball would be bigger.
You mean the planets?
Well, no, when I'm showing you those pictures, the ball would be bigger.
But Michaela, you do raise a question there, and we talked about some other class here. What do we make of planets?
So
do
planets are called, they used to be called wandering stars, right? And NASA changed it to the name planets. Planets, plane with a T, interesting. But when we look at them, all we see is a light in the sky. We don't know what shape it is. We don't know how far it is. You can't tell how far this stuff is or how big it is. For example, if we look at, excuse me, we look at the moon, you don't know how big these are. Are these gigantic? Are these small? How far away? Are they spheres? Right? And if we look at this one, it's all right. Now we know how big it is. It's a half a sphere. Okay. The question is this a sphere? This one certainly looks like a sphere. Is it also a half a sphere? Or maybe it's flat, right? Unless you can touch it and see it, you don't know what it is. Is this one a sphere? You might say, that one is a sphere, but that one's actually a bowl, right? So unless you can touch it and see it, you don't know how far it is. So if we look over here and I tell you this is the sun or the moon, which one would you guess it is? And is it spherical? Well, it kind of looks spherical. Is it the sun or the moon? I don't know. But if we speed this up, I'll show you that it's actually a train with a whole bunch of lights that are not spherical. But the way we see things in the distance makes them spherical. So that's because of everything turns into a sphere into the distance. But when you look at planets, here's the famous picture of Saturn, but we put it in Photoshop and showed that it's made with layers. There's no denying this. This is the famous picture from NASA's website. It's made in layers. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? It's an artist rendering. So again, our optics have outgrown their lies. When you actually look at Mars through a 125 times zoom lens, this is what we see, right? But when we look at Mars in the sky, it's bright as a star. It's kind of orangey. How is it reflecting light back to our eye that bright? Because light thins out, like sound thins out. It gets thinner and thinner. The inverse square law of light tells us the light has to be much brighter for it to get to us, right? The moon would need to be many times brighter than the sun for us to see it at the brightness that we see it at the distance they make. But they don't teach you this in school. They don't teach you how to look at that stuff. Here is Venus, right? When we zoom in on Venus, what is that? Don't ask me what it is because I don't know, right? But it's not a rocky ball orbiting a impossible heliocentric, gravitationally solar system. Again, here is Jupiter with all of the clouds moving, right? This is over just a couple days when the Voyager went by, right? This is just complete and total nonsense. But when we actually look at where is it? When we look at the pictures, they show us over years apart, all the clouds are the same. Nothing changes, right? Nothing changes on Jupiter. Here we go. This is over 2 years apart. Every cloud is exactly the same, right? So if you believe the Voyager picture of video of Jupiter, then this is fake. Well, then if this is real, then that's fake. NASA's faking everything.
Parker?
So to kind of change topics, you were talking about how the controllers are hiding other civilizations. Do you think that there's other civilizations? Well, I have two questions. Who are the controllers specifically, and what are the different civilizations living among us?
Yeah, so I highly recommend you read the book, the Iron Republic, right? You can find it on the app, or you can just find it on Amazon. Iron Republic is also on YouTube. There's a channel called The Morgile who read the book. He did a great narrating job. It's about a 5-hour video. If you like books on tape while you're doing stuff, while you're working out, whatever it is, highly recommend it. And it's a very credibly true story about more land beyond Antarctica that was published in 1901. Then the thing is, whether it's true story or not, is that they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica in the 1800s. So that's very interesting. And the thing is, this whole heliocentric thing is new. We were taught that Eratosthenes discovered the shape of the Earth, the diameter of the Earth in 2,000 years ago. But in fact, that story was never published until the 1900s. I interviewed a woman 102 years old back in 2020, and she said she was taught flat Earth in school when she was a kid in the late 1920s. And then we found since then, people saying in the 1950s, they were still teaching flat Earth and globe Earth because they didn't know. But then the Rockefellers took over the school system in the early 1900s, and they literally pushed all that stuff out. The flat Earth, the best map we have is the AE map, and it's actually the map that airplanes use for their autopilot, and it basically it shows us the reality of our world. This is essentially that map. The sun goes around once a day. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. And then so who are the liars? And the answer is, I have a little graphic here. Where is it? Well, it's we know some of the controllers, right? And we call it the round table. We have the Council of Foreign Relations, the United Nations, Bilderberg Group, the Club of Rome, the Trilateral Commission. These are the ones that we know about. These are the people that are making decisions. These are the unelected leaders that are dictating world policy, right? And these are the people that are controlling the world. So are they the actual controllers? I think they have controllers that we don't know about. I think the real controllers live beyond Antarctica or on lands in the Southern Oceans that we're unaware of.
You, Dexter.
You keep mentioning like gravity and how gravity isn't really real. So what is keeping us down? Like, what is the force that is keeping us on the Earth's surface?
So there's an electrostatic flow that has a downward bias. It comes from the sky to the ground. And everything in this world, from you yourself to food to air to everything, has an electrostatic charge. And anything above the ground has a positive charge. And it is attracted to the ground as negatives and positives attract. During a lightning storm, things fall at different rates. And like if lightning struck right next to you, you're likely to go flying into the air because the ground is turned positive for a split second and will eject you off the ground. There are technology, people are building crafts that will float above the earth using electrostatics. So that is what keeps things down. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. When you look at like a blimp floats above the air because it's lighter than the air. If I held a handful of rocks and ping pong balls over a pool and open my hand, the ping pong balls and rocks will go down. The rocks will go to the bottom of the pool. The ping pong ball will stay on the top of the pool. That is because of buoyancy and density, but the downwards direction is established by the flow of electricity into the earth.
Who else? We have 5 minutes left here.
What about like magnets? How do you feel about those?
I always love magnets. The magnets are quite amazing, but if magnets, we live in an electromagnetic world. Electricity and magnetism are brother and sister. And magnets, I believe that the center of the earth, the center of our world is a giant mountain that is magnetic. Some people say it's Mount Meru, whatever, but let me just show you how circumnavigation works with a magnet. So here's a little neodymium magnet I put in the middle here. I got my compass and the needle is pointing to the center. So I'm trying to push this west. But if you notice, I have to keep turning to the right to maintain a heading of 270 degrees west. So I can leave, California, New York, whatever. I can go all the way west and go right back to where I started from. I can also do the same thing east. If I go east, look, I have to keep turning to maintain a heading of 90. This doesn't prove the earth is flat because it's the same on a globe. The problem is if I try to dead reckon west, so there's my compass pointing north, this stick is pointing west according to the compass. And if I dead reckon that line, immediately I'm heading south. South is every direction away from the center. Okay. Every direction away is south. Now, if I try to head south, right? If I head south from here, south, I should pop up over here if the earth is a globe. If I go from Santiago, I should end up in Australia. But if I go south, I'm just going to go away. Billions of people have circumnavigated the world east and west. 0 have done it south. Now, if I'm going north, I'm going north, 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 north. And as soon as I pass that magnetic mountain, compass does a 180, I'm heading south. Every straight line is south. How about that?
Yeah, like one more question.
Go ahead.
Two. All right, who else has the question? Oh, I do.
Oh, what's your drink? That looks good.
Oh, it is frozen orange juice, frozen pineapple juice, and frozen grapefruit juice with water.
Okay. So now, yeah, people are jealous. Kayla.
So you're talking about how like when we asked what the benefit was of knowing, since you know that the earth is flat, do you have those benefits? Are
Can
free
you
now?
repeat the question? It's hard to hear.
When we were asking like what the benefit was of knowing, like, or like why would they lie to us, and you were like, oh, all this free power, free will, all this stuff, do you have that since you know the earth is flat?
Well, no, here's the thing. We don't have access to free energy, but I actually have a machine that pulls energy out of the ether, and it's a healing device. It's kind of absolutely amazing. And I got it in Mexico, where I am right now. And it's mind blowing what they do. They don't teach you about Tesla technology. They don't teach you about the Rife machine. They don't teach you about these healing devices that literally hear amazing things. It's I can't even. I'm gonna put this on YouTube, so I'm not even allowed to say that it's taken people that were sent home to die with the C word. Not allowed to say that on YouTube. And it completely cured them from it. But my device uses 100 watts of power, and it outputs thousands of watts of power. So where does that come from? Where does that extra energy come from? It's coming from the ether.
So
Parker, real quick here. We got 1 minute.
I can't hear the question.
Basically, questions about the medical system. Do you feel that it's corrupt or compromised?
So there's a thing called the Fleckner report, which happened. Basically, the Rockefellers again got rid of all homeopathic, chiropractic, got rid of everything except allopathic medicine, which is basically making molecules out of petroleum. And they to literally control the world. I believe it's literally to keep people sick. There's a whole health freedom movement out there. I'm actually going to be speaking in Acapulco, where a lot of people are going to be speaking. That's in Acapulco in February. You can check that out on my website, in Acapulco, and check that out. And you can watch virtually. I encourage you, take the time. Belief is the enemy of knowing. And if you want to learn something, you got to take the time and effort to learn it.
David, we want to thank you for presenting to us.
All right, guys. Thanks. Check out my website, flatearthdave.com. Go to the crash course and watch those videos. Turn off Netflix for a week, and it will change your life.